Welcome everyone to J-Wolf Tech Broadcast. This is actually my visual test, doing some videos between the Panasonic GH3 and the Canon 5D Mark II. Little setup on this. The Panasonic GH3 is actually using a 20mm f1.7 lens, and the Canon 5D Mark II is using the Canon 35mm f2.0. So they're pretty equivalent in length. Overall, I do want to mention that I shot the Panasonic GH3 at the 75 or 70 megabits per second setting, and the Canon 5D Mark II is just set to 1920 by 1080. Both are at 30 frames per second. Both were sharpened to about the equivalent mount. As you can see, the Panasonic GH3 is extremely sharp. I only sharpened it by about 10 in Adobe Premiere Pro CS6, and the Canon 5D Mark II needs a decent amount of sharpening. I sharpened it about 55 to try to get a somewhat equivalent sharpening. Usually I don't sharpen it that much on my standard videos, but the Panasonic GH3 is so much sharper that we can see here that I wanted to do it just for a little bit of test here. You can see that the Panasonic GH3 does look a little bit more digital than the Canon 5D Mark II, which if you'll see here as the video progresses, it has more of a film look. It has more of just an overall textured film look. It doesn't have that digital. The Panasonic GH3 is almost like a camcorder, mainly because the megabits per second is so much higher than the Canon 5D Mark II. As you can see here, the skin tones, I tried to color these as best as I could to get them pretty close to the same. I prefer the one on the Canon 5D Mark II for the actual skin tones. The Panasonic GH3, the brights are definitely, I mean, it has a more vivid color to it, which sometimes are not 100% completely accurate, but overall, I found that it reproduces colors very well. I didn't have any problems. Everything was set at ISO 400. I have pretty adequate lighting, so I'm not really testing low light performance, where the Canon 5D Mark II would destroy the GH3, mainly because the sensor is twice the size. But as you can see here on the Canon 5D Mark II, it does have that more film look. The background is a little bit more blurred than on the Panasonic GH3. That's because the sensor is larger. Larger sensor, you're gonna have a better bokeh or bokeh, however you want to pronounce it, background. But as you can see here, when we start panning over into the Panasonic GH3, you'll see that it just the details are much more sharp than the Canon 5D Mark II. Overall, it does sharpen a lot better. You don't really have to do any post work with this film to get a little bit better sharpness as you do in the Canon 5D Mark II. But as you can see here, the colors, while they are reproduced pretty accurately, they're very vivid, and they're very they have a lot of pop to them compared to the 5D Mark II. So it does look a little bit more camcorder-like. It looks a little bit more like a $1,000 camcorder look over, let's say, what a film might actually look at. Again, this is me doing the processing in Adobe to try to get them similar to what I would use the videos at. I'm by no means an expert at editing or post-production when it comes to video. I do it to what visually pleases me, and then I usually go from there. But as you can see, when we go over, we do lose a little bit of sharpness. You can see if you pay attention to the mug, how much sharper it is in the Panasonic GH3. You can see it there. Then when we get to the Canon 5D Mark II, it's not quite as sharp. It's a little out of focus, but that mainly was probably because of the actual setting. Overall, it's still sharp. It still has a sharp image, especially around the center. Around where my face is at, you can tell on the 5D Mark II, it's still a very, very sharp camera, or a camcorder. Well, it's not really a camcorder, but you can see that the face is very, very sharp. There's a little bit more kind of background blur. It's not a huge difference, but mainly because they're just they're just different lenses, different setups. But overall, I know I prefer a little bit of a blue greenish. More blue tint here. It's a little more green than I would have liked, but I do like that blue look. So that was me editing the video. That's personally how I prefer them. As you can see here, the shot is a little bit tighter on the Canon 5D Mark II. That's mainly my fault. I had it a little closer, but overall, I'm really happy with the GH3. It's probably not for me. I prefer the flexibility of the 5D Mark II, and the reasoning that I love taking photos, and I love taking landscape photos. So that really caters to that that's going to be it, guys. Play some music here at the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next time, and thanks again for watching J Wolf Tech Broadcast.